Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome back to the First Generation Aggies podcast. I'm your host, Abel, and today we have one of our organization's officers filling in for Isaac, and he is Israel Villigran. Also today we are here with Nick Kilmer, who is the Assistant Director of the Money Education Center. Mr. Kilmer, how are you doing today?
I am doing terrific. Thank you. It's Friday afternoon, and it's been a great week. So thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So hello, everybody. Like Abel was saying, my name is Israel Villigran, and I am the treasurer for FGA. Fun fact, Abel and I are actually former students of Mr. Kilmer's class, and I actually work alongside at the Money Education Center as a peer advisor. And so just like every other episode, we want to kick it off as an icebreaker for our speaker. If you could have dinner with any famous person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Okay, now y'all shared that question with me, and that is a very, very tough one to answer. And before I answer it, first thing I got to ask is that Israel and Abel, you have to call me Nick. You can't call me Mr. Kilmer. That's the one thing I ask.
Definitely.
As for who I would meet with, it's not. I guess it's a who. I don't know. It's a little bit more of a what. If I have to choose, I don't have a personal stake in sitting and meeting with someone who was famous or successful and so on. Not so much. If I'm going to do something, it's for my family. So my daughter lost her favorite cat last summer in July. If I could have dinner with anyone, it would be with that cat so that she could see my daughter again, because that would fix a lot of problems. My daughter misses her so much. Oh, my goodness. So, yes, I would pick a cat over any famous person in history, George Washington, anyone else. Yeah.
Very special cat. Can we get the name of it?
Midori. And it is not named after the green, the word Chinese word for green. If you know what Midori is, that's what it is.
I never knew that before, and now I do. Good to know.
Awesome. So before getting into the story of Nick Kilmer, could you tell us a little bit about what being the Assistant Director of the Money Education Center entails, and what are some of the resources that the center offers to first-generation students specifically?
Sure, absolutely. So our center was created about 4 years ago. We've been, as a university, we've been offering financial literacy programming of some sort for quite a long time, about 13 years. But about 4 years ago, the university really reinvested in the students when they gave us the funding to open the center, to hire 4 full-time staff members, and then we have 3 peer advisors. We've had as many as 5 peer advisors, Israel being one of our peer advisors. All of our peer advisors took our course, Foundations of Money Education, excelled in it, and then sought out the opportunity to come and help educate their fellow Aggies about money. So that's something I'm very proud of, and I really appreciate the work that they do is so influential. As a center, in a nutshell, our job is to help students limit the cost of college, make sure that money isn't a factor that keeps them from graduating, and then also make sure they're minimizing their debt while they're in school. But then finally, it's not just about being successful financially in college. It's about being successful financially after college as well, because I'm sure you know this intuitively, but just to state it as a fact, personal finance has never been more complex. So if you wonder why our younger generations are struggling with money, don't necessarily blame them. It's because we have made financial tools, resources, and also just the financial systems in America so complex. And then y'all have to make so many more financial decisions than ever before. So it's necessary to have a place like ours where you can come to us and ask those questions as you're having to make tough financial decisions. And you're going to make a lot of them. I mean, I feel for our freshmen. They come in and they're immediately making a load of financial decisions, and many of them. So take first generation students. Your parents haven't had that exposure to those same decision-making process that college students have had. So it's harder for them to guide. I'm not going to say they can't, but it's harder for them to guide their students, when you're in college and you come across these problems. Now, one of the things that I like to believe that as a university, that doesn't mean you're alone. We have a lot of first-generation staff and faculty who want to mentor first-generation Aggies. They want to help you succeed. And at the Money Education Center, we're no different. And so I would like to think that in terms of what we provide as a center in a nutshell is a place to meet confidentially and discuss whatever you're facing financially, and do it in a way where you're not ashamed, you're not embarrassed, because guess what? Everyone is bad with money in America. So there is no reason to sit and feel bad. And then everyone thinks that they're worse with money than everyone else. And none of that's true. So I think we provide an environment for students such as first generation students to come in, discuss whatever it is that's hindering them in their progress towards graduation. Basically, we give that confidential advice and know that that door remains open. It's not a one and done. There's an unlimited amount of contacts you can have with our office. That's us in a nutshell.
I couldn't agree more. With first generation students, I know we're sort of notorious for taking on debt just because we're not aware of what we're doing. And sometimes we have to, just because it's a resource that we have to take advantage of sometimes. But there's a certain way of going about it. And I find that the Money Education Center would be super helpful to any of our members who may be either struggling with debt or, in the process of taking out loans and stuff. I think it would be a great idea to meet first with the Money Education Center to, just discuss the long-term effects and what goes into making that decision.
And I honestly couldn't agree more with Abel. Just like Nick was saying, I was one of those freshmen that was, struggling to budget, struggling to save. And, before I took your class, Nick, before I actually worked at the Money Education, I was a terrible spender. But now I can say that with, some practice and with some of the knowledge that I'm actually practicing in today's time, I'm a way better spender. A way better spender. I'm a way better saver. And I actually, I actually can save for those financial goals that I've set for myself. And so your class, working for you has definitely taught me a lot about money.
It's funny, Israel. You just said I'm a way better spender, and that is a very accurate statement. I've never heard it put that way, but I like that because that's what we have to be better at. It's not just save, save, save. It's to become a better spender. We're going to spend money, but spend money on things you need or that you know for a fact that you want. I talked about financial systems. America's made it so easy for you to conveniently buy things. Amazon Prime, love it. It's amazing. It makes everything so simple on us. Same with automated payments towards everything. I'm going to go ahead and fess up. I in no way am talking about anybody because I'm at fault too. I have a Planet Fitness membership. I have not used it since March, but I'm still paying $10 a month. I should have canceled that, but it's automatically being deducted from my bank account. I forget about it. I get busy with life. I remember it. I'm gonna cancel it. I don't. So again, it's actually also, you're right. It's becoming a better spender. Spend on what you need and what you actually want.
Well, thank you so much for that. And so I guess my next question for you, I know you're a very busy and productive man. What are some current projects that you are currently working on, and what are some of the goals that you're trying to accomplish as the assistant director of the Money Education Center?
Thank you. That's a great question. So just to put in perspective, I do want to say before I talk about what I want to achieve with the center and grow, we actually have one of the best centers in the nation. There's not very many centers, period, nationally. Most schools don't even have a financial education advisor. So to have a team, to have a center, and then also to have a course, we're flying high, but we are Aggies and we shoot for excellence, and we have 70,000 Aggies to serve. So yes, I have been working towards and thinking about how do we level up further, because we're not reaching enough Aggies as is. And so part of that is finding the best way to help students change their financial behavior. And well, how do you do that? First, you have to educate them about basic financial concepts. And y'all brought up the course several times. That is the best form of instruction that I can think of is in the classroom, because I get to talk to students for 20 plus hours a semester. There's no other type of engagement that I have that allows for that amount of time. And then y'all are also intrinsically motivated to do well and to learn about the money because it affects your degree plan. Well, if you can get the basics in the classroom and then turn around after you've learned those concepts and come to the center and then start making a plan for you with one of our advisors about your specific situation, then now you're going to see that behavior change. You'll start making better financial decisions so that you have a leg up on everyone else. And that's the goal. And so what do I need to increase that and enhance that is we need to grow our course. Our course opened in fall of 2017. We had 23 students enrolled. I was so excited with our 23 students. We now have 250 students enrolled.
Wow.
But we still only have 2 sections of the course. And so with only 2 sections of the course, we cannot grow beyond 250 students. So we need to have more sections of the course. And then that in turn will allow us, the students, after they learn the basic concepts of the course, will come to the center, they'll get comfortable with us, take that basic knowledge, apply it to their lives better, and you'll see change. So one of my biggest goals is to grow the course, grow the sections, grow the visibility of the course, and then take the center and have the center focus more and more and more. We do a lot of different things, but focus more and more and more on just advising. To meet with y'all privately, because that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where we can make a plan for you, Abel. Not speaking generally, for you with your life. And then when something changes next week, you come back and we adjust the plan and you keep moving forward. So we need both. We need the course, we need the center, we need them both to grow.
So we're talking a lot about this course, and for first-gen students who are listening, we'll give a little backstory. So Israel works at the Money Education Center, and I remember it was like about 2 years ago. He told me, "Hey, we were just generally talking about classes and stuff." And he said he was taking the AGEC 235. Is that the correct
It is.
number? 235. And he said, "Hey, do you have any free electives?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I think I have one or two left." Why? And he said, "Because I really think you should take this class." And he was really forceful about it. And I was like, "Okay, I'll look into it." And I said, "Well, what is it about?" And he's like, "Well, honestly, it's the most influential class I've taken at A&M." And I that carried a lot of weight coming from Israel. So because he's one of my good friends. So I was like, okay, I'll look into it, and I told him exactly what was it about, and it's about life skills and stuff that you encounter, such as car buying, mortgages, and just general knowledge that isn't put out there enough, and spending habits and just stuff that will affect you long term. And after taking the course, I could definitely agree that it is a great course, and I think it should be a required elective because that's how powerful this course is and how much you learn from it. Throughout the course, you create a binder with all of these skills and stuff that you'll learn. And I still have that binder and holding on to it to the day I buy my first car, purchase my first home, and get married, because it actually talks about love and money. That's a good little topic in there that it needs to be talked about financially, and it's good to hear all those resources being put into that course. And I really do think this course can and should continue to grow.
Thank you, Abel.
Yeah, yeah. So getting more into your background, where are you from, and what brought you to Texas A&M as a student?
So people say, "Where are you from?" And for the longest time, I couldn't answer that question because it's kind of split. The answer is split. I was raised in San Antonio until I was about the age of 8. Then my dad opened a financial planning office in Austin. When we were growing up, we weren't rich. It was definitely, there were some struggles, financially, that I wasn't aware of, and I'm sure many of you have no idea what your parents are dealing with financially. And looking back, I now realize, that it wasn't easy. And that's one of the reasons we moved to Austin, was so that he could begin a financial planning firm in an area that was more well off, attract those clients, and try to put himself in a better position to be able to help us be able to go to college. And so after about the age of 8, I spent the rest of my elementary school years, K through 12, in Austin. I went to Westlake for 1 year. Nothing against Westlake. It really didn't work for me. So I actually ended up in a private school called St. Michael's, and it's right in the west side of Austin, and it changed my life. That school is extremely diverse. Students from all over the city come to that school. Everyone is academically, they're striving for something. And they motivated me to change kind of what I was doing and where I was going. And I wonder if I would have made it to college if I hadn't gone to that school where they completely redirected me and pointed me in a good direction. And with that said, I have a twin brother. We both graduated, him from Westlake, me from St. Michael's, and we ended up coming to Texas A&M. And the reason we came to Texas A&M, or at least the reason I came to Texas A&M, was because of how accepting and kind the people were here. That was straight up. That's it. I felt welcomed, and I felt like there was a good community. That's one of the reasons I've never left. But we came here and we ended up studying finance. In my first semester, I met my wife. I didn't know it at the time. We were friends, but we ended up getting married 5 years later, and then the rest is history.
Wow, that's awesome to hear. Just like you were saying, you're a former Aggie, and I guess like my next question for you is, I remember talking with you, and you said you didn't think that you were going to make it to college, and so I guess, how did you overcome this challenge? Like, how did you actually attend A&M?
So fear can be a good motivator, to be honest. My sister is older. She had struggles. Some of them were personal. Some of them were out of her control. And life sometimes doesn't do us a service. It's that life can be unfair. And as a result, my parents were very concerned that my brother and I wouldn't make it to college. So I heard that quite often. If you don't pick up your grades, you're not going to college. If you don't pick up your grades, you're not going to college. Personally, like I said, going to St. Michael's, which was dedicated to academics, and it treated everyone fairly. The goal was for 100% of the graduating class to go to college. That was it. That really, really motivated me. Also, knowing where my dad came from, he did not have a well-off childhood. He spent part of his childhood away from his parents. And then, as a young adult, he was kind of raising himself, heading in a very bad direction. And the thing that's turned him around, and knowing this, him was the Navy. After the Navy, it was college. That's what got him into college. Was he went to the Navy, it kind of put him in a good path. Then he was like, I need to pick up my life. He went to college, and that from there he became a CPA. He became a CFP, began owning his own firm. College changed his life. Wow. And seeing the direction he was going in, he told me, you have a choice. And this was a pretty stark choice. He said, you can either go to, not college, Texas A&M, or you can go to the Navy. That's a pretty good motivator right there. Yeah. I felt like I already had my Navy with my dad. I mean, you got to have those sheets cut. They got to be fitted to the bed. It's got to be perfect. I'm like, I don't need another Navy. Been there, done that. So that was a great motivator to me, was seeing my parents and honestly, knowing the struggles they went through to raise the money to help pay for my college. That my dad worked 60-hour weeks. My mom struggled hard, and so feeling I owed them. That was a good motivator.
Yeah, and I can completely relate to that. But before going to A&M, I knew I wanted to go to college, right? Just so I can, I guess, financially support my parents as well. And so that was like a huge indicator and a huge motivator to me to continue pushing forward to go to college, because a lot of my family members, they personally don't believe the benefit of going to college. They always ask me, well, Israel, you're going to college for what? And so that to me, that to me in a way sometimes discouraged me. But I looked at my parents and I was like, you know what, I'm doing this for you. And honestly, I never look back, and I'm so excited to graduate this December.
This December? You're graduating this December? We lose you this December? Yes. That's not okay.
Oh man,
I'm excited for you, but that's upsetting.
I thought we talked about this.
Oh, Israel, I'm so sad, man. I'm excited for you. This is a really good thing. We'll miss you. Yeah, I will also. You can share all the statistics I've shared with you before with your parents. It's not about Texas A&M. The average increase in earnings from getting a bachelor's is $1 million.
Over $1 million.
Over $1 million. Yeah, and that's you're right. Over $1 million. And that's for anywhere. That's not here. Texas A&M, I think, offers some pretty good degrees. So it's more than $1 million. And then again, unemployment cuts in half when you have a degree. So, and you're right. I understand. I'm not going to say I understand. I can appreciate the fact that as a first-generation student, you're leaving your family thinking that you're going to invest in yourself in a selfish way for 4 years, that you can't be there for them to work during these 4 years to help them supplement their income. So I appreciate that. But as I've told many of the students I've met with the first generation students, sacrifice these 4 years, invest them in yourself so that for 40 years afterwards, then you can take care of your family in a way you never could otherwise. And it's absolutely true. And I know students who have done just that. And so that's where I say, yeah, get the degree. It's totally worth it. Then go back and help.
Awesome to hear. First generation students definitely do struggle with that. And it's great to see people like you, reaching out and providing these resources for us first gens and, helping us guide us along the way. Another thing you mentioned too was, you never had a clear path. You didn't wake up senior year, high school, I want to be the money education center director at Texas. It didn't exist. And that's one of the stigmas we kind of want to get rid of on this podcast. We have a lot of, very successful people, resources at A&M who you might think, professors they're not real people. They just are just, they're not, you're not able to conversate with them and stuff like that. It's hard to reach them. But that's what we've learned from our previous guests. no one had a clear path, and you just sort of figure it out as long the way you go. And so us first gen need to realize that, it's going to be hard. You're not going to have all the answers. It's more about just trying, putting yourself out there, joining orgs, taking advantage of the resources, networking
Yeah.
with other Aggies and stuff like that, because the Aggie Network is a super powerful thing that will definitely guide you in the future.
And I just want to piggyback on what you said, that the Aggie Network, it's a powerful resource.
Hmm.
I went to New York one time, and I remember I was leaving the airport, and this guy was literally just holding his thumb out like that, and I just kept looking at him, and he's like, "Gig 'em." I was like, "Oh wow!" In New York, he's like, I still didn't understand why he said that. He's like, "I'm an Aggie too," and so that just goes to show you that if you leave the state, no matter where you go, there's always going to be an Aggie there. Just like there's going to be an Aggie there to like share that, that spirit of, that A&M spirit. And so that to me spoke volumes.
That happened to me on a bus in Park City, Utah. It was like midnight, and there's only like this old couple on the bus, and they just see me walk by with a hat. They're like, "Gig 'em," and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I'm all the way in Utah. It's like midnight. We're just leaving the bars or whatever. There's in the old couple as Aggies. What do you know? And they want to talk. They want to talk.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
it's so funny. I got on the plane, and then the flight attendant taps me on the shoulder, and she's like, "Hey, there's a woman back there. She's trying to get your attention." And I guess I was wearing the Texas A&M Aggie sweater, and she was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know that A&M's beating Florida State, 41-33." I was like, "Thank you." And then I was just like, "Hullabaloo, connect, connect." So
Yeah.
I just wanted to share that because I mean the Aggie Network is a powerful thing, and I think every first generation student should definitely use that to their advantage.
Well, and you speak of a network, and I just want to emphasize this, is that it is the Aggie Network, but even just outside of the Aggie Network, it's about the fact that you should not have fear to go meet people, get to know them, ask for help, because people want to be a part of your success. They want to feel that. I was just with a former student friend of mine who's become a very close friend of mine over the years, and the people that he knows are so incredibly popular, successful, famous, and the main reason is he's not afraid to go talk to them, say hi, get to know, be honest about who he is, and he's willing to take their advice, their constructive criticism, and run with it. And then after he builds that relationship, he stays connected. I mean, I just get random texts with images of what he's doing, and that's how we stay connected. But he does that, and so the people he knows, I do not know. And so I just say that people want to support you, but if you stay in a closet all day and you don't get out there and you're not willing to go shake hands and get to meet people, then you're wasting an opportunity.
Thank you so much for sharing with us all that, Nick. I know you're a financial guru. I mean, I've learned that working for you and being a former student. So could you just tell us a little bit about your earlier careers and experiences
Yeah.
that went into preparing you for the job that you have now?
That is a great question. Thank you for asking. Because I want to emphasize that, you come to A&M, you're going to get a degree in, let's say, finance. What I got a degree in, what does that mean? What jobs are out there? You need to know what job. I mean, starting as a freshman, if you think you're going to study a specific, you're going to earn a certain degree. What doors does that open to what jobs? And then what jobs? Those jobs, what are their average starting salaries? That's why you are here, is to get the degree that gets you the job that you want, not necessarily the job, but put you in a career for the next 40 years that you can earn a good living and be happy. And so that was one of my failures. Don't repeat what I did. I got a degree in finance because my dad said, "We're just alike, man. You're my younger twin. You're going to love this." And you know what? Ends up, by luck, he was right. I do like helping people with money. But when I was studying finance, I didn't know that. I thought I was studying finance to become a stockbroker or something along those lines. And then I get out of college. I did not go see the career center. I did not know how to write a resume. I did not know how to do interviews. That put me at a total disadvantage. So my first job, the only one I could find because I needed to stay in the local area, was a bank accountant. Well, that job, nothing against it, but I didn't know how to negotiate for salary. I ended up being totally lowballed on my starting salary. $24,800.
Wow.
Yeah, it was incredibly low. The job, again, I went, and again, you don't just walk into your favorite job. I learned from that job, though, that, one, I don't like redundant work. What I do like is streamlining processes. So I learned how to streamline that job to where I only had to do it 4 hours a day, and it did an 8 hours worth of work in a day in 4 hours. And from there, I was promoted to an analyst because they realized this guy's really good with numbers and with streamlining processes. I was good at it. But it wasn't until my dad's cancer got bad, his lymphoma, and he has a financial planning firm in Austin. He needed me to come help him run it. That while I was there, he taught me something. He said, just because you're good at something doesn't mean you should do it. What you need to do is something that you're good at, that you are passionate about. Nick, yes, you could go hide in a closet and do analysis, and you'd be great at it, and you wouldn't be happy at all. Same with accounting. He said, you are good with people and with money. Help people with money. And so it took me 3 jobs to kind of figure that out. And then what I also learned, though, was the people I want to help with money are mostly the people who can receive the most benefit from my help. So it's not your rich people. Nothing against rich people. Please, you can have as much money as you want. But you give a student $500, it's going to change their life. You give a millionaire $500, they're going to say, thank you, I guess. I don't really know what to do with. What do you do with $500? And so, with that said, when my dad got better from his cancer, I had a choice to stay and be a financial planner, and I could have run his business. And honestly, I love the work, but again, cost benefit, point of diminishing returns. When I come back to Texas A&M, I start working for scholarships and financial aid. I was able to, each advising session, I was able to help people make big leaps in their life. That's where I got my satisfaction, was working for scholarships and financial aid. I did that for a while. At a point, Veteran Services Office, they're in charge of benefits for veterans and their families. They have served. They've gone out and sacrificed. They deserve our attention, our appreciation, our help. And this particular job they needed was for me to run that office, which meant that I was over all funding for military affiliate students. I went and ran that office. Absolutely loved it. After about 3 or 4 years, we ended up being ranked the #1 in the nation as a university, not just our office, but as the whole university for serving military affiliated students. Very proud of that. And then I was offered the opportunity to open this center. On the side, for about 8 years, I'd been doing financial literacy as a secondary thing just to help students. So they said, you could run your whole center. I said, let's do this. And so been doing this for the last 4 or 5 years, and this is my dream job. Absolutely.
And you've been doing a great job.
Killing it. Yeah, definitely.
And I know that was a long-winded response, but my main thing I want to point out is stepping stones. Learn from every job you do what you really like. Keep your doors open so that you can finally get to that job you truly want.
We wanted to thank you for all the work that you do for us, especially hearing. That's why it's great to hear our faculty's stories, because everyone would probably just think this is Nick Kilmer, the assistant director of Money Education Center, but it's good to hear your story about the sacrifices you made and the choices you made to better help the Aggie family. And we wanted to thank you for that, because I'm pretty sure you've affected many people. I mean, 2 people here already, just right here, that you've affected our lives for better, definitely for better. And your course, going back to I know I keep going back to the course, but I also mentioned, the stuff that we learned to my parents, and that affected them as well. And it's crazy to see how the effect, it's like a wildfire. Once it gets going, it spreads. When it's positive stuff like that, it's easy to spread, and it will spread. And I'm glad to see it continue to spread.
Thanks for saying that. That's something I hear from several of my students, is that they've gone and taught their parents, which is great. That's your job, guys. Somebody said, one of my students once told me, Nick, you are changing lives. And I said, no. That's your job. I teach you about money. You teach your kids about money. That's how America changes. But I never thought about, you also teach your parents about money. Hey, that's even better.
Yeah, definitely. So as we reach sort of the end of our interview here, we wanted to ask if there are any words of advice, wisdom, or encouragement that you wish someone told you as a college student at Texas A&M, or just a college student in general.
I would say stop being so hard on yourself. A lot of us, when I was a student, you feel isolated, you feel alone, you feel like somehow you're failing. You don't know as much about money or anything else as anyone else. That's all weight that you're unnecessarily putting on yourself. Everyone feels isolated. Everyone feels alone at times. They feel like they don't fit in. They feel like they're failing. The trick is don't quit. I've said this before, but if you don't get your degree, if you get close, that's not good enough. You need to finish it. So, and if you can't do it for yourself, if you can't motivate yourself to keep fighting, to keep trying, to get to a better place, think about, I'm not saying everybody's going to do this, but think about your future kids. The fact that you want to take care of them. So you're working now for that family you want in the future. That's the way. I'm a family man. So that's the way that motivated me. I always wanted to have a family. Well, my job then was to put myself in the best place I could. So I say don't quit, and don't be so hard on yourself. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And again, I would say don't repeat my mistakes. Try to learn about money, try to be better with it, and figure out your career sooner rather than later. Oh, and one other thing I will say, if there's a lot of Aggies, and I'm sure they're all great, surround yourself with just a few people you trust. Stick with that group. And then in terms of partners, all I got to say is when you're picking that partner, pick someone that you will go to bat with, that they've got your back, that you respect, not just because they're pretty. And pick them in a way, the way I look at it is, it's someone I want to go to war with. Because sometimes going to life feels like war. And you need someone who's got your back. That's the person you stick with. They'll change your life.
So I just want to piggyback on something that you said, Nick. You said be careful with the people you trust, right? And the way I think about it as this analogy. It's better to have 4 quarters than 100 pennies, and that's something that I live by, and that's something that I use. And you saying
I
that again
like
speaks
that.
volumes. Yeah.
I'm stealing that. That's not mine. You didn't come up with that. That's not my saying. That's great.
That's funny. Cool. So our last sort of thing here is that we like to ask all of our guests before we let them go is, do you have a favorite quote or a just general quote that you like to live by?
You'll mention this to me, and there's so many amazing quotes out there, and I still feel like I got to go biblical on it. I do believe it's do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. I think golden rule. I mean, if you in the Bible it says that if you can't do anything else but you do that, you're on a good path, and that's something for me that if we could just as Americans, despite our differences, and guess what, it's okay. We're going to disagree. We're going to have differences. But treat each other with respect and dignity and care about the person more than the issue. And that's to me, if we could do that, hey, we're good. So I try to do that because, I have friends who all believe different things. And I will say that what matters to me more is the person than the topic. And then I think we're good.
I like that. Well said. Well, we just wanted to, Israel, do you have anything else you want to say?
No,
Or no?
that was
No.
basically it.
Okay, I was just checking. Well, we wanted to thank you so much. I know you said to call you Nick, so Nick, for coming out and supporting our organization. And like we said, Nick here works with, or Israel works for Nick, and also Kevin, our president, the president of the organization. He's not here, but he's the president of our first generation organization. And I know he was glad to have you on here. I guarantee he will watch this episode in the entirety, nitpick everything, and be glad that we had you here. He'll mess with you Monday morning about everything and anything.
That sounds great.
Yeah, definitely. So we just want to say thank you for coming out. You're killing it with the course. You're killing it with the Money Education Center. Thank you for helping us first-gen students.
I thank you all very much for having me. And again, I know this, I don't mean to say this in any way that sounds disingenuous, but I'm truly impressed with your organization. Terrific job. Like seriously, for a new organization, wow. Terrific job.
I can say that I'm really happy to be a part of it too. We started off with 15 members and now we're sitting over with 278 members, and so there's been an exponential growth. And I'm not going to say I'm not going to say that COVID's a good thing, but due to COVID, we've been able to increase our numbers just because everybody wants to be a part of something, and we were able. This podcast was like a huge resource to bring in people to just watch us virtually and learn more about us. And so thank you for being such a a great speaker and such a great, I guess, mentor.
Yeah, well, I appreciate having you guys in my life too. It makes my job fun. There's so many other jobs I could be doing. This one's fun. So
before we let you viewers go, we wanted to mention that if you or someone else that you know is interested in being a guest on our podcast and have an enlightening first-gen story or have beneficial resources that first-generation students should be aware of, please contact the email that you are viewing on your screen now. Also, a quick shout out to our sponsor, Northwest Drivetrain and Services, located in Houston and Conroe, Texas. They offer a wide variety of semi-truck parts and services such as drive shaft repairs and transmission and differential rebuilds. So if someone you know owns a big rig, be sure to tell them to check out Northwest Drivetrain and Services for any of their semi-truck needs. Last but not least, Aggies, don't forget to wear a mask, wash your hands, and social distance, and gig 'em, Aggies.
Go.
Yeah, guys.